Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're going to Pee Wee's Playhouse, I guess.
That's right, Johnny. It's Pee Wee's Playhouse for whatever reason. It's because he just died, and it's because he just died, and in honesty, there's been a lot of like
dress up for his little ceremony we're gonna do here for him.
Yeah, I probably should have put on a suit jacket or something.
It would have been nice, but what are you gonna do?
I didn't. Anyways,
but I'm sure. Is this gonna be like our presidents, where you tell me why he did all the bad things and why you're not dressed up for him?
I am gonna.
Did he own slaves?
I'm gonna. Well, no. I'm gonna tell you about his arrests and the true stories behind his arrests. Because we grew up in the '90s. We grew up hearing about his arrests on the televisions, and what we were told on the television, what actually happened. Or at least the rumors around the playground, because you heard the rumors. You heard he was gurking it openly in a public, like in the movie theater, watching Little Mermaid. Just
is that what you heard?
Slow tugging one out. Heard that he had mirrors on his shoes and he was looking up girls' skirts and taking illegal pictures of people in public. All kinds of fun, random things that we heard, which were not exactly true.
So why were they made up then? Is this like a Charles Manson thing, or not Charles, Marilyn Manson thing with the rib being removed? Is it just one of those that everybody heard?
It's because before the age of the internet, you couldn't fact check fuck all, and so you heard the rumors, and then of course we all heard he got arrested, and once he got arrested, his career was nixed, and even that isn't exactly true. So Johnny, we're gonna jump into it. Quick recap, if you don't know who Pee Wee Herman is, it's Paul Reubens. He was an actor, made the character Pee Wee Herman, and the guy was told you it's okay to be weird, and he was
fun.
Weird.
Yeah, I watched his show growing up. It was just weird, wild, wonky, kind of silly shenanigans. That's all. It was
shenanigans.
It's like an early Blue's Clues or something like. It was
something
like
like
that. But it was for kids. It was just silly, fun, colors flashing, lights, moving things, all that stuff.
Yep. My mom and dad would not let me watch it, or specifically my mom wouldn't let me watch it because she said he was weird.
Well, he
Thanks,
was.
Mom,
that
for
was
being.
The point. And it's
okay. Thank you for. You didn't know. I don't know if you noticed. I was not a normal child growing up either. So.
Talk to your therapist about it.
Right. Anyways, so Paul Reubens created his character Pee Wee in the late 70s. 79 is the first actual appearance of Pee Wee Herman. Because he loved comedy, went to comedy shows, saw this prop comic who absolutely sucked ass, just didn't have the comedic timing, like the idea of the props and that end of it, but the guy just didn't have any comedic timing, so he goes up to the guy after a show and is like, hey, can I just base a character off of you because you're so fucking bad and you can't do it yourself, but I can do a better job of it if I'm making fun of you or pretending to be you or whatever. So
he's gonna
base the whole character off of some weird whole character off some weird comic. And believe it or not, one of his first appearances as Pee Wee was on The Dating Game in 1979. He made 3 appearances as Pee Wee Herman on The Dating Game in 1979.
Now, is this his own personal bit that he was doing, or
nobody knew it was
okay.
No, he went to the interview, he went to the auditions as Pee Wee Herman in a tight short suit, all that fun stuff, acting as Pee Wee Herman.
The execs
and they're like, this guy
is gold. This is perfect.
Is fucking ridiculous. Yeah, put him on. He was on the show for 3 times.
Bag, I'm guessing, because he was on 3 times, so it didn't go well.
The third time's a charm, Johnny, because he got picked on the 3rd time.
There you go. I feel like by the 3rd time, they had found women that are like, this is I'm for him. I want him. I want the weird.
You found a weird,
quirky.
They definitely did. Now, he goes actually on to try out for SNL and loses out to Gilbert Gottfried, which
it's fair.
It's fair.
Gilbert Gottfried. Both of those characters would be too much. Gilbert Gottfried is too much for me. But having both of those, you don't need those. You don't need both. They're the same thing.
So he gets a bunch of his friends together, and they actually help fund his adventure here. And he goes up to create a Broadway or a stage theater version of Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Okay.
There are 2 versions of that show.
Started on stage.
Started on stage, on fucking just on a stage. Just this fucking blows my mind. Two versions of that. There's the child's version that happened during the daytime, and he had an adult nighttime show, which I think
fun.
every child host of anything, they are the weirdest and raunchiest people in their personal lives, and you kind of have to be. You kind of have to be just to put up with that, or at least it's the personality.
It's been true of a lot of people. Bob Saget was our
that's what I mean. Like every
TV dad coming home, and he was a very raunchy stand-up comedian. Yeah, so I can see that. I'm not sure everyone, but probably pretty close.
Probably most of them. In any case, HBO picks up the show. He gets his Pee Wee Playhouse. The rest is history, so to speak. Except that Paul Reubens doesn't want to identify as Paul Reubens. He wants to identify as Pee Wee. Once Pee Wee the character takes off,
he's
credited in all of
persona.
Yeah, in all of his shows, he's credited as Pee Wee Herman. In all of the interviews, he will not do an interview as Paul Reubens. He does an interview as Pee Wee Herman. He is Pee Wee Herman. He wants people to think Pee Wee Herman is his own real thing. Okay. So it makes it easy for him to have a personal life. He can go out and about, take off the goofy suit, unslick his hair back a little bit. Nobody recognizes him on the street. Nobody recognizes him. So he's able to go out and live a personal life. Unfortunately, when you're living a character as an alter ego, the lines start to get blurred, and eventually you kind of get over it. So after only 4 seasons of Pee Wee's Playhouse, he calls it quits. He opts out of the 5th season. It's 1990. He says, nope, I'm going to go ahead and be done with it. 1991 in November is his last airing of the show, and he's able to go off and fade off into the existence. And this is where his arrest ruins his career, because he ended Pee Wee before he got arrested.
Did he? All right, so there was Pee Wee Herman and the Playhouse. He did some movies though too, right? Mm-hmm. Did those come later, or was that during the filming?
No. Big adventure happened during this time frame.
So he had 4 years of on air
TV with Pee Wee's Playhouse.
I don't want that anymore. And okay.
Yep. Which honestly, like if you look at a lot of the kids shows, that's about par. Like most of those kids shows don't really last long, or at least with the original. I mean, Blue's Clues. Hell, Steve his name. He was only there for about 4 or 5 seasons, and then he ventured on.
It's got to be hard to just go in and do that every day, because it's a full
high energy
character, and it's a lot, and I can see why people wouldn't want to do that long term. And your kids that started watching you now don't watch you anymore. So unless you're continuously grabbing up new audiences, because kids at 4 and 8 watch completely different things.
Sure do. Now, it's 1991, Johnny, and we got the infamy, his arrest.
91.
July of 1991.
So he was just in. So he disappeared from everybody's consciousness.
November of 1990.
Then all of a sudden, 91.
Yeah. He retires. That was his last aired date, which of course obviously isn't the last filmed date. He filmed those months in advance. Mm-hmm. So he's probably been off of work for about a year. And you can tell because when he does get arrested, his mugshot got really long hair and a goatee. And not possible to do that in 2 or 3 months. So clearly,
like 3 years for
he'd abandoned himself. And he was living a low-key life. He wasn't going around, wasn't doing much, no real public appearances, just kind of maintaining himself as very, very low-key. He went to Sarasota, Florida to visit his parents, which is where he's from. And while he's at Sarasota, Florida, it's 1991. Dude gets a little bored. Sarasota, Florida. This is the age before internet was widely available, which means the age before internet pornography is widely available, which means if you want to get your rocks off, you got to go to certain locations. You have 2 choices. You could go to a seedy adult store and buy some movies or rent some movies. And by movies, I mean VHS cassettes that you could then take home. But remember, Johnny, he's visiting his parents in his childhood room. Maybe he doesn't want mommy and daddy risking walking in on him watching the VHS or something illicit.
Going to a theater, though, for pornography, just like, it's just a weird
So he goes to one of these seedy locations, and it is a porn theater, a pornography theater. They specialize for pornography. They only show pornography. It is a adult theater called the South Trail Cinema. He's going to take a seat in the back corner, off by himself, where he will likely not interrupt.
I would hope everybody in that theater's off by themselves in some remote.
Yeah.
The remotest location you could get.
And he's gonna sit back and he's gonna watch a little Nurse Nancy. That's the name of the movie. It's straight. It's not even. This isn't even like the audacity of him watching homosexual things in the '90s, which that's fine. But like in the '90s, it wasn't.
Remember, this was the AIDS scare, right? Or after, perhaps.
Right after. Yeah,
but,
still the '90s. So he's off watching the movie by himself, not bothering anybody. Now, it's an adult theater. I think there's a reasonable expectation that in an adult theater, things may or may not be happening. Now,
I mean, for example, in adult theaters in like Amsterdam, when we went there, we did a tour. I didn't go into any of them because it's a weird thing for me, but they have like rooms, like they're in a cubby. Everybody's like facing the center. Obviously, you can't see into the windows, whatever, to it, and so that's how they would watch like live shows. But everybody has a cubby, their own little.
And the floors
masturbatorium, I guess,
are usually a little sticky. Happens.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. What are you gonna do? So, anyways, little known to him, there are 3 undercover officers that like to hang around this place and arrest people because they're jackasses and they're all closeted homosexuals that don't understand their feelings, and so they've got nothing better to do than sit at an adult movie theater and arrest people for indecent exposure.
Yeah, they are.
Nobody's complaining.
Rocks off to that.
I have to make this perfectly clear. There is nobody in that theater that's making a complaint. He's not in the back of a public theater watching Little Mermaid, slow tugging it while there's children around. No, he is in an adult theater that's not packed, and nobody makes a complaint. But these 3 undercover officers go in there and they arrest 3 people. On their way out of arresting 3 people, they notice a dude up in a corner. They go, "Oh, hey, yep, you, weird goatee hair-looking dude, come over here. You're under arrest too because we totally saw you slow tugging it with your dick out in your left hand."
Wah wah.
Bop, bop.
You should have sat in a darker corner, I guess. But I mean,
I guess what they should have did.
So cops in the '90s were setting up sting operations instead of fighting the drug
adult
wars
theaters
that were so popular at the time.
Yep.
Well done.
Yep. So they arrested the 3 men, including Paul. Now, Paul clearly denies being exposed. Says I was A, didn't have my dick out. B, wasn't actively masturbating. I was just, the plot line.
The story
of Nurse Nancy.
He was considering a second career as nursing in a nursing facility.
Yeah,
and he was trying to get see what the nursing field was like. Took a wrong turn, went to the wrong theater, wrong movie. That's all. That's what I would say as his lawyer.
The officers don't initially recognize him, and one of 2 things happen. He either informs the officers who he is and offers to have a children's benefit for the police department if they could all just make this go away. He's like, "Hey, I'm kind of famous. I'm Pee Wee Herman. If we could just sweep this under the rug real quick, I'll do a children's benefit for your police department." And
a police officer.
There's that option. The option B is that the police recognized him, and then once they recognized him, he goes, "Oh, sweep this under the rug, and I'll do it." Either way, it's generally considered that he did attempt. And this is how innocent this man is. Is he bribing the police with money? No, he goes, "Oh, be Pee Wee Herman, and do a show for you."
Chances are he didn't get like tons and tons. He's probably not flush with cash at this point.
No, but I don't think any reasonable human would think that bribing the police by throwing a children's benefit as your fucking, kids TV show host is that's not a good bribe. That's not.
Not for them, but maybe, if their kids are super into Pee Wee Herman, maybe they'd be all right with it.
What makes this whole story a little bit worse is the Sarasota. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe. He's taken to the county jail. He's $20 short of the bond. One of the sheriffs who recognizes him from a previous arrest offers to front him the rest of the money. Like, "Hey, you're good."
Previous arrest? What was he arrested for previously, Tommy?
Yeah. Well, Johnny, I'm glad you brought that up, because what, pray tell, is he arrested for previously? One is possession of marijuana. So, like that, whatever.
So no one gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck about that. He was on probation for 2 years for that, because it's the fucking 90s. Well, it was the 80s then, and apparently the devil's lettuce was super dangerous in the 80s.
Yeah, it's
the other one
so it still is, Tommy.
He was arrested for loitering outside a Sarasota adult movie theater.
Loitering?
Loitering. Those charges get dropped though, so.
All right, so he had a couple weak sauce arrests before, and then.
Yeah.
All right.
Cop recognizes him, pays off the benefit. In any case, the next day, his attorney offers the same bribe as a mistake to a reporter from the Sarasota Herald Tribune to make the story go away. We'll have Pee Wee come around and do a fucking children's show thing for you.
How'd that go?
Not well. If the story gets published.
Oh, does it? And then we all find out about it.
And oh boy, does it blow up because Paul becomes the butt of all jokes for the remainder of the year and for years to come. Nothing's funnier than Pee Wee Herman getting arrested.
Drug him. Like,
if
this happened in today's, like during the whole Me Too movement, when everybody was like, "Hey, people are actual trash. Look at these folks." Like, this would have been a blip on the radar. Nobody would have even cared.
This is not a Me Too.
Because people were doing real bad things, not just go into a porn show.
In September, Pee Wee makes his first public appearance since the whole arrest, where he goes on to the MTV Music Awards as Pee Wee and asks the audience if they've heard any good jokes. Heard any good jokes? Ha ha! Which, come on, that's fucking gold. But other than that, he maintains he never publicly addresses it. He doesn't come out and hey, to clarify, this is what was going on. And
well, he saw the rumors that spread. All he's going to do is make it worse. People are just going to take pieces and bits and pieces away.
Because the internet,
you just got to try to.
You can't Google fact check things. Yeah, which is what he did. Which later in life he does say that was his biggest mistake, is that
not addressing it.
He never not addressed it. Which again, in the '90s, I think you're thinking of that with today's mentality, where you can go on and Google fact check things,
or he could just go out on his Twitter platform and blast it to everybody in the United States,
because I have to stress this enough. This is the '90s, and people are very repressed sexually speaking. So the idea of a child, of a fucking child host going to an adult theater, they didn't want children to know that adult theaters existed. In fact, that was one of the big things. What are we going to tell the children because all of the syndication got pulled from the air. CBS had the syndication. They pulled the syndication from the air, and Toys R Us pulled all the toys from the shelf.
Seems drastic. Seems like you could just ignore it. But,
and they're like, what do we tell the children that now that their favorite Pee Wee's not around anymore?
Find a new show. I don't know.
Nothing. You go, I don't know. He just fucking retired.
You say, what, am I in charge of the cable company? What do you want from me?
What do you want from me? Or you could do what the kids did in the 2000s and say that Steve died of a heroin overdose, because when Steve left Blue's Clues, that was the rumor that went around my high school. Blues Clues. Yeah, died of a heroin. He didn't die.
He's still around.
He's on TikTok.
Still doing TikTok sometimes,
He does TikTok
really helped
sometimes.
us through about a week of the pandemic when he said that little thing.
He did, yeah. Anyways, so, does his whole good joke. Lots of people come to his aid in his defense. Ironically, one of those is Bill Cosby. Hindsight, maybe not the person you want to come to your defense.
Not
but
in hindsight, but at the time, there was nobody more pure in the
Bill Cosby.
Media, the public's eye, than Bill Cosby. Yeah, he was it.
He was
He was probably one of the worst people in the world, but
yeah. He was facing a $1,000 fine and up to 1 year in jail for this. Never goes to trial. He pleads no contest. He pays a $50 fee and has to do 75 hours of community service. And this is where the story is even more funny, because remember that bribe I told you about him doing a whole fucking benefit as Pee Wee Herman? Yeah, his 75-hour community service was to do a anti-drug spot as Pee Wee Herman.
Man, that's a tough.
Took the bribe. They took the bribe, and they're acting like the bribe was a bad thing. But yeah, you still took you did it. You did you did it. Took the thing.
Well, right, but then they also got the money for the fines and were able to embarrass a man. What do you think cops want to do, Tommy?
Yeah, well, they did all that. They embarrassed the shit out of him. So, in any case, you'd say his career was destroyed, right? No, it wasn't, because A, he'd already stopped being Pee Wee Herman at that point, and B, remember all the movies that he was in? Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Yeah, that was post-arrest. Nightmare Before Christmas.
In Buffy?
No, he wasn't Pee Wee Herman. He was Paul Reubens.
Oh.
But I'm saying Paul Reubens' career wasn't ruined.
Oh, okay.
Because
he
fucking was still, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Mystery Men, Nightmare Before Christmas. All those movies came out after his arrest, so you can't really say, Batman Returns. He was in Batman Returns as the fucking Penguin's daddy, I think. It worked a lot with.
I had no idea he was in
Tim Burton. Did a lot of bit roles on TV
Bob's
shows.
Burgers?
He was on Bob's. Well, that's
and
more
Jerry.
recent. He was on the Murphy. What was that show? She was a chick and she was a news reporter. Murphy Lane or something like that. He was on that on a recurring role multiple times.
Kids these days will know him from Minecraft Story Mode. He is Ivor, the voice actor for there. So did a lot of voice acting.
Matilda. He was in Matilda. I forgot about Matilda. But his best role is still Buffy the Vampire Slayer when he gets like stabbed in the chest by Buffy and he's like, and the movie, not the TV show. The movie. The movie. He dies and it's like a slow down. Drags on for 10 minutes. Fucking comic gold. By the way, if you're a Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show fan, watch the movie. It's better. It's better. I don't care. It's better. I know it doesn't have your chick in it, Johnny. It's better. It's better.
I've tried watching it. It just doesn't hold up.
The movie?
I haven't seen the movie, just the show. I haven't.
Yeah,
I don't watch the movie this time.
Watch the movie. Anyways, seemed like the public didn't care. That wasn't until he got arrested again in 2002 for child pornography.
Oh, no.
Allegedly. So let me tell you the truth about this one. This one's not quite as clear-cut as the other one is. But I'm giving you the truth. This is no speculation. This is the truth. So in 2002, in November, he was doing a music video, okay? And his house gets raided by the police for a alleged child pornography sting. So what had happened is actor Jeffrey Jones was being charged with child pornography, had child pornography, legit child pornography found on his shit. And Jeffrey Jones says, oh, well, if you're going to go after me, you got to go after Paul Reubens because he's got the shit too. So, while Pee Wee is out of town, not at home, the police break into his house and raid his house, which, by the way, has its own legal questionable action there because, when you're serving a warrant.
Does he have child porn or not? I'm not going to sit here and defend a child pornographer just because the cops did something shady. They always do something shady.
The newspapers report that there were 70,000 items of quiche memorabilia, 2 grainy videotapes, and dozens of photographs that the city attorney reports as appearing, this is the key word here, appearing to be child pornography. Or some of those 70, not all the 70,000 materials there were some of those in that context that appeared like they could be child pornography.
Okay, no.
Reubens denies the charges. He turns himself into the LAPD. And he says, what you found was Rob Lowe's sex tape. Which, one of those 2 grainy videos was Rob Lowe's sex tape.
I mean, okay, but what about all the rest of it?
The district attorney, Rocky Delgadillo. Oh, wait, no, that's not the district attorney. That's the city attorney. We hate the city attorney. So, goes to the LAPD. The district attorney, the big wig attorney, the guy who would know what you should or shouldn't charge somebody for not. If the DA says don't charge him, the DA says don't charge him. The DA looked over all the content and said there is no felony charge here. This does not constitute child pornography. He drops the case. With 1 day left to file charges in the timeline, because in the United States you have statute of limitations, all that fun stuff, and from when you find materials to be able to actually charge somebody with it, there's a timeline. Mm-hmm. With 1 day left in the timeline, the city attorney, Rocky Delgadillo, formally charges him with child pornography. Reubens says that the material that he is, look, I'm a collector of erotica. I buy bulk material as erotica. A lot of the material is homosexual in nature. Makes you start to think, would somebody be offended by that in the 90s? Or, 2000s, I guess, now, but still, it's early 2000s. Nothing's really changed. Would somebody be potentially offended by that? And would that potentially lead you to want to... I mean, it's Paul Reubens. It's a famous person. Let's go after him, right?
So what you're saying
he
is
says
he had
that
gay
there
porn,
were...
somebody set him up?
There were art materials inside of it that did contain nude pictures of male teenagers that he did not know if they were or were not under the age of 18. teenagers.
Maybe get rid of anything inconspicuous there, bud.
Yeah, maybe. Probably should have. And I have to point out that the material, these 70,000 items, are all aging in dates from 30 to 100 years ago. He's got erotica from the fucking 1800s.
All right. So so there are collectors of erotica and there are collectors of erotica. And that sounds like an actual, you said collector of erotica. I thought, okay, this guy likes porn. But no, he's
got shit that's 100 years old. He's got
style.
He's got stuff that's it all ranges between 30 and 100 years old. This would be like, I am not defending him because I can't see the materials. You can't. It's not like you can go on to Google Webs and see what all was and make the judgment call for yourself. He's saying it's art. They're saying it's pornography. He says hands down, none of the images were of sexual natures, which means none of them were doing anything sexual. None of them, like there wasn't sex acts being conducted. Nobody was masturbating.
He's arguing that essentially,
it's art.
If they were young, it was either an artistic type photo or similar to what, like, my parents have pictures of me swimming in the nude in 1987 or whatever. And
yes.
I'm just naked. Yeah, I'm naked and I'm 4 or 5 years old, whatever, but it's just normal stuff.
So, by this logic, if he's true on that, now this is where it's speculation. I don't know. Because I can't see the materials, can't judge for myself. We can't judge for ourselves. We do know that the district attorney said there's nothing illegal there, and the city attorney, who's a lesser attorney, brought the charges. So this is a gray area, flip of a coin, do what you want.
Well, the nice thing
with all that said,
even if it was, he had materials or whatever, and they were part of his collection, that's bad. At least he wasn't sexually assaulting people, right? There wasn't arrest later.
No, there's not. He has never, at least nothing that I could find. There was never an allegation that he did anything inappropriate with anybody, let alone children.
Okay, except himself in the theater.
Except for, that's not inappropriate, Johnny. I mean, anyways.
Talk to God about that, Tommy.
with all these
some words for you.
Keep in mind, you watched Romeo and Juliet in high school, right? The old 1960s movie. Did you?
By
any chance watch that?
I don't.
You may have, may not. So. It's not an uncommon thing to watch Romeo and Juliet.
I think we did Midsummer's Night's Dream or whatever. I think we did that one.
It doesn't matter. There's Romeo and Juliet. You read it in high school. A lot of high schools show the old 1960s movie. In the old 1960s movie, Juliet is actually underage. She is, I believe, 14 or 16 at the time of the filming.
In the book, she is underage.
Yeah, there is a topless scene of her in that movie being underage. So by law standards now, anybody in possession of that 1960s movie is technically in possession of child pornography.
Okay. Also, go ahead and lock up the directors of that movie.
Well, yes, yeah. And Blue Lagoon. We got to do an episode on Blue Lagoon one time because that's really fucking.
Tommy, I don't want to start a child pornography channel, please.
Media, fucking child pornography in the media. Anyways, so Reubens will plead to a lesser charge of obscene materials because obviously the city doesn't want to go to trial because they really have a case that's on sketchy terms. So they drop all the child pornography charges. It's not a felony; it's a misdemeanor. Obscene materials.
Okay.
He will have to register his address with the sheriff's department for 3 years, and he will not be allowed to be alone with any children without their parents' consent for the next 3 years.
Okay, it sounds like he's not going to give a shit about that.
No, he doesn't really give a shit about that. And it doesn't end his career, Johnny, because in 2011, Pee Wee's back with a Broadway show on the Broadway as Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse. Yeah. He's fucking... went back on Broadway.
Full circle.
The whole new show.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then 2016, he does a whole movie on Netflix. I watched it. It was something. Called Pee Wee's Holiday or Big Holiday. The whole premise of that movie is there's the dude, not Magic Mike, not the guy who plays Magic Mike, but one of the other guys in the movie. Yeah, they meet.
That's the stripper one, right?
The stripper movie, yeah. It's the stripper that goes into the gas station and strips for the attendant behind the gas station.
I don't watch
It's that
movies.
stripper. Pee Wee runs into him. So again, in context, it's funny as fuck because anyways, they have this weird sexual chemistry. This dude invites Pee Wee to his birthday party in New York City, and Pee Wee has to make his way to New York City, getting arrested.
Just about him going there.
Getting arrested, or not? Well, all kinds of adventures. He picks up 3 female bank robbers, which at one point is this really awkward scene where they one of them tries to take over the wheel, so she rides on him for a little. I'm telling you, this movie in context from what we know about Pee Wee is odd. Doesn't help his case a lot. But in any case, look, all I'm saying, was Pee Wee weird? Sure, that was his whole stigma.
Was he maybe a bit of a pedophile? Maybe, but
maybe. He did love himself some pornography.
Probably not.
So, might have had some inclinations that we didn't really like. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, the dude before anybody else was having diversity hires. Before you have Walt Disney out there doing the off Snow White version, you had Pee Wee Herman, who's his main alter egos. The king of tunes was a black male before black males were on TV. So the guy, it's like the presidents. There's some good things. There's some bad things. Pee Wee Herman was at least not racist.
Weirdest point I've ever heard. That's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and join us next week when we talk about some other bullshit.